WGSN-DB Going Solo Network welcomes you to You Can Find Love After 50 with your host, dating coach Lisa Copeland. Lisa's best-selling book on Amazon, The Winning Dating Formula for Women Over 50, has helped women all over the globe find love. Her weekly column in the Huffington Post, which is viewed by millions of readers, along with her unique insight into how to find a quality man, makes her the #1 dating coach for women over 50. And now, your host, Lisa Copeland.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Copeland and I want to welcome you to the You Can Find Love After 50 show on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. And today what we're going to talk about is a topic that we have all experienced, breaking up. We're going to talk about what to do when a breakup happens, whether you should contact someone, how you handle yourself in this situation, and how you can get your life back on track, along with when you should date again. So let's get started. I can remember I had a breakup with a guy I had been with for 2.5 years. And when we broke up, I really didn't know what to do with myself. When you're part of a couple for that long, you have yourself, but you're used to having meals together, Saturday nights together, Friday nights together. And if you've lived together, you're used to having someone around all the time. When we broke up, I can remember thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do with myself? How am I going to face meals again by myself every night? What am I going to do on the weekends? At that time, my family was not living where I live. Now a lot of members of my family do, and I get a lot of out-of-town guests too. So there is usually a pretty good revolving door in my home these days. But back then, there wasn't. My kids were in college, and I faced time alone again. I remember saying to friends, "Can I ask you the biggest favor? Can I come sit in your living room? You know, you don't have to talk to me. I just want to read a book and I want to have someone to talk to from time to time." I think one of the hardest things when you break up is you don't have someone to talk to. And I remember one time after a breakup, I had this friend, and it's like we would go to lunch and I would unload on her, because I didn't have someone to discuss these important things in my life with. Well, that made me realize that's not okay. We all need what I call go-to people. And you want to have people that you can call when something's bothering you. This can be a sister, a brother, a really close friend. You need people in your life that can advise you when you're not sure what to do about something, or you need a second set of eyes. You can hire people to help you around your home when things get overwhelming. But I want you to think about your go-to people, because after I realized I was doing this to my friend, and God bless her, she hung in there with me, but I remember thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? And after that, I made a list of go-to people, so I wasn't doing that anymore. When you break up, it really feels isolating. People may help you in the beginning, but then all of a sudden, you're on your own. So it's also important to create a friends list. It's not something you want to do when you're desperate to go out. It's something you want to do when this radio show ends. Sit down and write a list of people you know that you could call and say, hey, do you want to go to a movie with them? When I was single, I would write down, I have a list like this. And over time, not only did it include women, it included men I had dated, but they weren't a romantic fit, but we had stayed friends. I think it's so important to be with members of the opposite sex when you're not dating, because it reminds you of your own femininity, or if you're a man, of your own masculinity, and you can still have that. Also, you can get hugs from friends. I think that was one of the hardest things, was not having that physical touch. And I'm not talking about sexual touch. I'm talking about holding hands or hugging someone. So friends can give you a hug. Hug everybody, because we need hugs. It's a great time to have a cat or a dog in your life too, because they can give you this unconditional love. And it's really great to have them when you first break up, because you're in a healing process. You're grieving. You need to grieve the end of a relationship. Even if you don't think you like the person, or even if it didn't work out, you were still together. You were part of a couple, and you need to heal the loss of those hopes and those dreams before you get out there and date again. A great thing that I did when I was in breakups was I would journal, and I would just let myself feel whatever it was I needed to feel. If I felt sad, I cried and I wrote about it. If I felt frustrated because they didn't really give me closure, I wrote about it. The biggest thing we often need is closure. Sometimes we're with someone who breaks up with us via text. Let's say we've dated them 7 times, 5 to 7 times, and for some unknown reason, they decide it's acceptable to break up by text. Unfortunately, this is a byproduct of the 21st century. Texting and email breakups, or even worse, disappearing out of nowhere. Because people don't want to hurt you, and they think doing it that way or writing a text is much easier than talking it out. What happens is it leaves you hanging, and you go, what's going on? Did I do something wrong? Oftentimes it has nothing to do with you. They may have been seeing someone before they met you, and they went back to them. I was going out with a guy for, I'd say we were at about the 6th or 7th date, and we had a great time together. We had made plans, and I was leaving to go visit my kids in another state, and we had made these plans for when I came back. Well, a funny thing happened. Oh, let me back up. Even while I was with my kids, we talked on the phone, we laughed, we talked about the plans we had. Then all of a sudden, I get home, I go, I'm back, and I get a text, a Dear Lisa text, breaking up with me. Those are the hardest to recover from, because you can write them back and they feel no obligation to tell you what's going on. I later saw on Facebook that he had picked up with this old girlfriend of his, and that really hurt. So what I did to help heal from that, you can always write a letter that you do not send. This is only for your own purposes. And you can write how it made you feel to have this happen, how sad you are, how frustrating it was. And write everything out that you feel, because the most important thing is to get these feelings out during a breakup when it happens. Because if you don't, they just stay inside of you, and you traipse them into the next relationship with anger at the next person for what happened in the last relationship, or you repeat it again. So write this letter, and you can even put their name on it, Dear So-and-so. This guy's name happened to be Matt. And I wrote, Dear Matt, I am so frustrated, so angry. I can't believe you did this. What's wrong with you? I mean, you can cuss at them. You can do anything you want because you're never sending this. Then you take the letter and you burn it. It's like a ceremony, and you release it. Make sure you're in a place that Nothing is going to catch fire when you release it. You can take it out to the woods and you can stamp it out. But it's a ceremonial cutting of the ties that the two of you had. Even though it was 7 dates, it still hurt. I've had clients tell me that men have broken up with them and they ended up stalking them. My client stalked them on Facebook before we started working together. I know we want to know what happened to the person, just like I wanted to know what happened to the guy, and I saw it on Facebook. But we want to know in the end, it actually hurts more because it keeps you from getting the closure you need. It's really a good idea when you break up, take the person's name out of your phone. If you want to keep emails, hide them. Get rid of the text. Take them off Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever social media sites you are on. Because even though you're dying to know what's going on with him or her, it keeps you from having closure. Now, I want to share a little piece here that happens to some people, especially women. Sometimes when we break up with someone, we have a very, very hard time letting them go because we have an addiction to them. This actually happened to me with that 2.5-year relationship I mentioned earlier. We would come together happy as can be after a breakup, and we probably broke up at least 3 or 4 times in those 2.5 years together. And oftentimes neither of us was really happy, but when we were apart, it's like we really missed each other. I always thought, this is so weird that we get along better on the phone than we do when we're actually together. Well, what happened was we ended up breaking up. I said, I can't do this with you anymore. You're not right for me. I'm not right for you. We need to end it. And what I found was I could not stop thinking about him. And in those days, there was no such thing as Facebook. There was the phone, and that was it. And I'm ashamed to say I remember calling his voicemail to hear his voice because I missed him so much. Because what was happening was I was releasing a hormone called oxytocin. For women, when we have had intimacy with a man, we release oxytocin. It stays with us for up to 3 weeks. This is why it's very hard to be friends with benefits with a man, because that bonding hormone oxytocin happens. Now for men, oxytocin stays around for about 10 minutes. Okay, maybe an hour. A man could literally have sex with you in the morning and go and be with someone else in the afternoon because they don't continue to hold on to that bonding chemical like our bodies do. So when I would listen to this man's voicemail voice, or I would think about him, or I would read his, not his text, his emails, because texting was not around then either. We did not have smartphones at that time. This was early in the 21st century. But it was emails, and I went back and read some of the mail that we had sent on a dating site, and all I was doing was re-releasing that oxytocin, the addiction hormone. So it was very hard to give him up or to stop thinking about him, because when that hormone is released, it makes us feel good and it makes us feel close. And I would think about him 24/7 because, and what I was doing was cycling. It was a terrible cycle because every time I thought about him, looked at a picture of him, and did all those different things, I was re-releasing that hormone and I was reconnecting to him. And that is an addiction to a man. I've had many clients have a problem with this as well. And it's very hard to break. It took about a year to stop thinking about him. I thought it would never, ever, ever stop. But it does. You have to consciously stop that process of thinking about him. So when they come into your mind, and this is whether you're addicted or you've just broken up, when that person comes into your mind, say, thank you for coming to my mind, but I am closing the door on you. We are done. Imagine that door closing and a lock being put on. And you have to be consistent and persistent about it. If this is something you need help with, I have coached women up to help them clear up this addiction. And just reach out to me at lisa@findaqualityman.com. And we can talk about how we can work together to help you through this. Okay, we have to take a little bit of a commercial break here. I'm Lisa Copeland, the host of the You Can Find Love After 50 show on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network.
You're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.
And we're talking about breakups, and I was just talking about addiction to someone as being one of the hardest things to get through. And you really do have to start practices, whether you've just broken up or addicted, of stopping the mental cycle of thinking about them, because you'll release oxytocin, which keeps you connected to them. So let's talk a little bit more about breaking up and the things you need to do. Take time to heal. Like I mentioned before, it is so important. If you were with someone 10 years, you need some time to get over that relationship. Give yourself 9 months to a year. For that 2.5-year relationship, because I was still addicted to him, it took over a year before I could go out and date. And the funny thing is I did see him about a year ago at a festival. And I looked at him and he looked so different. And I thought, was I really addicted to this man? It was like a crazy kind of thing. But when that happened, I had to take a good 9 months to get over it. The funny thing is, what also helped me get over it was at that 9-month mark, I happened to see him twice at a restaurant. And then I saw him, and he, by the way, had gotten involved with someone pretty quickly, which I don't recommend doing, but he did. And then I saw him at an office building, and we had a chance to talk, and it helped me see that my addiction was to the illusion of the man. It wasn't even to the real man himself. So if you're addicted to someone, it is helpful to run into them and to see who they really are, because it's not the same picture. And I went to hug him goodbye because I was done. That was the point that addiction stopped. And he couldn't hug me even to that day. It was 9 months later, because he still cared about me. But I was done the second I had that conversation with him, because I realized the addiction was to that illusion. So we parted ways, and I didn't see him again until, like I said, last year. That was probably 15 years. And like I said, I wasn't sure how I could have been addicted in the first place, but I did take the time after my first marriage, which ended after 24 years. I took a good year before I dated. My second marriage was 2 years. The divorce took about 9 months. And I took about a year and a half before I dated then too. So what are you supposed to be doing during that time? Well, I mentioned before getting a friends list together. Write down all the people you know, male and female. Ask people, do you know anyone single I can hang out with? It's really important. It can be so isolating if you don't. And I have a lot of clients come to me and they say to me, Lisa, I just don't have girlfriends. And I say to them, honey, you got to get out there and start doing things to create relationships with women. Because we women need those friends around us when we're out there dating or we're on our own, and we need that emotional connection. The reason men get into a relationship so quickly is because they don't have that emotional connection with other men, and they need a female to do the processing with. So get out there, go to meetups, whether you're male or female. Get yourself busy. Go golf, go to meetups, go to happy hours. Just be out there and have fun. Get back in touch with yourself also. It's a time to reconnect to you and the things you love doing. Were there things that you gave up while you were in that relationship? Or were there things that you wanted to do and didn't do while you were in that relationship? Do them. Make them happen for you. So important. I remember taking art classes, and when you take a consistent class with people, you get to know them and become friends with them. And you have to put yourself out there and say, you want to go have a cup of coffee sometime, or you want to go to lunch or dinner sometime. People are really grateful when you do that because they're sitting at home because they don't have the guts to do it. So you can create this whole list of new people to bring into your life. And it is an exciting time to recreate your life and to have the life that you want to live. The other part of that is it helps you fill space and time. It also helps you get back in touch with your passion. And passion is what the opposite sex is so attracted to in you. All right, should you contact someone when they disappear or when they break up? When someone disappears, you can say, hey, what's going on? Sometimes they will answer you, sometimes they won't. I think it's one of the rudest things when people disappear. It is hurtful. When people just break up, and what do you do about the contact between the two of you? You really don't. You both need time to heal. There's going to be anger on each of your parts. I was in a relationship and we were together for about a year, and we broke up and we had no contact, I'd say for about a good 6 months. And during that time, I remember feeling all these emotions, and I was the one that ended it. I was done again. And I remember feeling anger and frustration, but there were times I missed him because you are part of a couple and you miss certain things. And then about 6 months later, out of the blue, he reached out to me. And by that point, I had done the healing I needed to do. And we were connected. And it was so nice seeing him. And we have been friends ever since. We actually, when we were both single, went out to Las Vegas together as friends and had a blast. One of the cool things about dating at this time in your life is when it ends, it's not like high school where you had to hide from the person. Remember that? You broke up and it was like, oh my God, he's in my history class. How am I going to deal with this? Or you wouldn't talk to each other. You can be friends with a lot of people when you've broken up. It's just a different way today. One of the reasons I so love helping women with dating and the effect, all the things that happen in dating, is because I've gone through it and they love that. They feel when they come and they work with me or they come into my programs, they tell me that one of the reasons they come to me is because I have been there. I've been right where they are. And that's why I like to share stories with you that have happened. It creates a vulnerability in me to share with you that I was addicted to a guy. You know, that is not something I'm proud of, but it was, and I didn't even know what was going on at the time. Like, why is this happening? Had I known then it was this oxytocin kick, I could have done something about it. But back then, I didn't know what to do, and I had to work my way through it. With so many parts of over 50s dating, that's what I've had to do. And I love helping women find love after 50 because it's just so cool. And I know how great people feel when they're out there dating and having fun. So if you're a little bit lost with dating or you need help, I have all kinds of programs, but a great place to start is come to my website, findaqualityman.com, grab my free report, The 5 Little Known Secrets for Finding Quality Men After 50. take a look around the site. You'll see I have a little piece that says what women say about working with me. I have a little YouTube video with Dr. Ruth, another one where Katie Couric was quite chagrined, as she put it, when I wrote my very first Huffington Post article about her. She was none too happy, and she was actually talking to the millionaire matchmaker at the time. And you'll see all kinds of things on there. Plus, when you sign up for that free report, you'll get blogs every week with tons of great information that you can go out and start using that day. And if you think you would like to work with me to get your dating life jump-started, apply for a 30-minute complimentary session with me. When you go to findaqualityman.com, you'll see a tab that says coaching. Fill out that form, and when I have spots available, we'll let you know. And you can have that 30-minute session with me to jumpstart your dating life. So we were talking about contacting someone after you've broken up. Give it some time. Give yourself some time to heal for sure before you contact them. If you're having a really hard time, find a coach like me or a therapist to help you work through what's happening. But find yourself. It's a super, super exciting time. So the big question now is, how do you know when it's time to get out there and date? I can remember after my 24-year marriage ended, and I was taking all that time to just get to know myself again. And I had friends that were dating, and they would say, come on, get on a dating website, get out there and date. And I could just feel inside of me, I wasn't ready. I really needed that time for me. And in all the years that I was alone, I didn't feel lonely. I didn't miss being with someone because I'm okay on my own. I don't need people to stimulate me 24/7. If you do, and there are many people that do need people around them all the time, that's why it's so important to get busy. Take those classes. Get out to as many functions as you can. Find friends that you can do things with. But if you're okay on your own, it's a whole different story. I did things like art classes, like I mentioned. I journaled all the time. I took my dog for walks. It was a very meditative time for me. And I really enjoyed that time, actually. I had a friend say to me, don't be in such a hurry to be with someone. Enjoy this time alone because you're not going to have it for long. Someone else will come along. And she was right. So enjoy this time where you're not in a relationship. The biggest reason you don't want to rush into another relationship is that when we don't take the time to heal, we drag in the things we left behind. We just pull them right back in. So the person that you were with and all the issues that frustrated you, it's likely you'll pull that right back in again. I help women with this all the time in what we call a patterns chart. They're always shocked when they go, oh my God, I really am dating the same guy. And that's because we get out there and we date too fast and we don't heal or really take a look at what we learned from the last relationship. So my final words of wisdom to you, I want you to ask yourself a couple questions when you break up. It's super important. Every person that comes into your life gives you a gift in some way. I want you to really think about, what did I learn from being with this person? What was the gift? What did I learn about love? Being able to receive love and accept love. And what would I want in someone the next time? What qualities from this relationship were really good? And you also want to look at the qualities that weren't so good, because you may not want to repeat those again. Get out there, get busy. Even being single, a lot of what I told you today is good for you, even if you haven't broken up with someone in a while. Get out there and create a life that you love. This is what's going to make you glow. It's what people are going to love about being with you. You want to learn more about over 50s dating? Check out my book on Amazon, The Winning Dating Formula for Women Over 50. There's 7 steps I cover, and there is so much you can learn from this about yourself, about men, and about finding love again at this time in your life. I'm so glad you were here with me today. Take what you've learned, go and use it. I'm Lisa Copeland of the You Can Find Love After 50 show on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and I look forward to talking with you next time. And by the way, if you have topics that you would love to have me cover, drop me a note at lisa@findaqualityman.com and let me know what you'd like to hear more about. I would love to make sure that you're getting everything you need when it comes to finding love after 50. Talk to you again soon. Have a great week.